Okay, so at the time of recording, I don't actually know if I'm going to share this. It's just sort of what's moving through me through a few different observations I've been having. I'm feeling really strong whale energy as I say this. So perhaps there is something for those that are going to tune into this. I'm also halfway through, well, two-thirds, 75% of the way through doing my hair. So yeah, this is the this is where I'm at right now. But I have noticed throughout the 4 years that I've been in this work in terms of, you know, space holding, and I'm really at this marker point, this change in, you know, sort of burning down my business again and rebuilding from the ashes, and it is really, really exciting. Lots to share about that. But the reason I stopped doing half an hour readings, I used to offer these kinds of readings at the Arthur Conan Doyle Centre, and I stopped when I started getting this influx of people who would come in and they just want to know when their next love interest is going to arrive. And, you know, if you know me, if you've worked with me, that's just not my vibe. I'm like, but why is this so important to you right now? And let's get to the deeper meanings, you know, as within, so without. There's nothing wrong with desiring a romantic partnership. There's nothing wrong with desiring friendship, relationship, community. Of course not. None of that should ever be demonized. But like everything, like all of our desires, they are a mirror. You do not simply want a partner just because you want a partner, right? You want one because of what you can exchange together, what you can share together, what you can, experience as two souls coming together. And what I have found is that if that is a focus, if that is acting as almost like a neurotic kind of obsession within you, very likely there is something deeper going on. If it's something that, you know, your life is full and you're like, I want a partner as an addition to what I already am, that's different. When people come to me and they're like, they have this like, oh, like I need this in my life right now, that's a red flag for me immediately, of like, there's something really much deeper going on that we need to talk about, because otherwise we're just going to sit at the superficial level of material reality where we're just desiring for something almost like a 2-year-old. Like, I want my bottle now. I want that food now. That desire for immediacy in that way is often reflective of a part of us that is in a state of immaturity and needs some form of nourishment in order to, you know, be witnessed and be allowed to be processed and moved through. What I find with women who are really deep in their work is that there may be fleeting thoughts of desiring a partner. They may even be actively calling one in, sure, but it shouldn't feel like a gaping hole in your life that you cannot move through without. And, you know, what I often find as well is women who just before they meet their partner, they've kind of given up on it. They're not really interested. They're like, you know, I just got so zoned in and so focused on me that I didn't, you know, I was surprised when it came along. That's even something that's sort of accepted within the mainstream. That's like Hollywood rom-com storylines that, you know, have that sort of narrative, because there's something archetypally true about it, that once we release, once we stop holding, once we choose to let go, that is when we actually become a match or a frequency to the thing that we're calling in. It's when we're coming from that place of lack of, I don't have this thing and I'm not whole without it. That is when we're literally creating this huge space between us and that thing. And for the mystic woman, and I'm not saying this is true for everybody, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, but a lot of the mystic women that come into my sphere are not in relationship right now. And that is by design. That's by a higher power. That's not by accident to me. That's like, okay, so there's something moving here. You being called on a deeper journey within self, so that when you do meet someone, you are so whole unto you that they only ever add to your world, and you can be two whole people coming together. And sure, shadow's gonna come up. Sure, you're gonna probably walk through a million fires together, all of that, but ultimately you still have you. And so, I'm always cautionary around when people have it as something which seems to be taking up a lot of their energy. Usually it is a mirror to areas they are not meeting themselves. Usually it is a mirror to a mother or father wound. Usually it is a mirror to something that is really deeply asking to be witnessed and recognized. And then, like all forms of neurosis and limerence, they pass through. They pass through the the birthing canal, and they're gone, right? So and for me, that's why I stopped doing readings. I knew my time doing those kind of readings for the most part was up, apart from maybe once a year I open books to that kind of reading, something to a more lighter kind of reading. But I don't want that to be a source of my life's work, is telling people, well, there's someone coming in for you. Because as well, what I found is that often if you push hard enough, you will find somebody, and they may not be somebody who is actually supportive to your journey, but somebody that mirrors more of a karmic pattern. If we force, we tear, and something can come through, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean it's what's actually going to create the highest expansion for us. So just some reflections there on that I think are important to know if we find ourselves in that place of seeking something outside of ourselves.